Hey everybody, and welcome to Project Premium Harvest. My name is Matt. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the Yieldmax and Roundhill weekly pairs for the week of November 11th through the 15th. Then I'm going to talk about how much money I made this week. Give you a hint, it's not a lot because I'm not invested in any of the Yieldmax funds. And then I'm just going to give you an overview of what's new with my account, the money I moved, and kind of my speculation for the next coming weeks. So let's get started. As you guys know, the first thing I like to show on my account is my Robinhood, or for my channel is my Robinhood account. And as you guys can see, the account is at $112,657.29. Somebody in the comment section wanted to talk about how much margin I'm using, so I'm just going to discuss that a little bit. So as you guys can see, for my margin, I have a margin total of $100,000. So basically what this means is I set a limit to $100,000. I really don't like to use more than $75,000. But if there's like a good move I can make with just like $25,000, I'll usually spike that number higher to 100,000 so that I can make a quick buck and then pull the money out and then have it flexible. But usually $75,000 really is my threshold. And if you're not used to using margin and you're not disciplining yourself, I definitely recommend just setting a limit. It's a lot easier because the temptation to use all of your margin is great. And then if there's a market downturn, you're going to regret using all of it because then you're going to get margin called. Getting margin called isn't necessarily a big deal as long as you have money to kind of throw into your account during the turbulent times. And then once the turbulent times are over and the market's going back up, then you can pull the money out. So for me, I have that, but I've also been bit by using way too much margin, get leveraged, lose a lot of your shares. But so I kind of wanted to be more risk adverse in that regard. But yeah, so currently for my portfolio, I'm only using about $58,000. So you guys kind of have, with that number being shown, it's evident that I'm pulling my money out of certain investments, right? So I kind of give you an idea of what I did the past couple of weeks, maybe the last week because of the elections and things like that. So last week I said I was invested into xdte. I threw about $10,000 into xdte. When I saw the market spike as much as it did, I sold my $10,000 worth of xdte for about $53 a share. Technically, you guys can look at the share price right now for xdte, and it's about $53.80. So technically, I did lose that potential upside. But for me, when I looked at the charts, $53 is a number that xdte hasn't gone past. So I wanted to lock in my gains because that was borrowed money. So once I saw that it hit a certain threshold that I've never seen before, sold out of it, made about $300-400 cash, and then now I have that money set aside for another event. So I'm anticipating the next few weeks after Trump's election it hit that specific high when he was elected. It's slowly wearing off, and I believe the S&P 500 is going to continue on a downward trend, maybe until the end of November, beginning of December, and people are trying to maybe use the Walsh rule to like sell out some of their shares and then use that as like a tax deductible. So we'll see, more to follow. That's just speculation. Don't necessarily have to listen to what I'm saying, but if a market hits an all-time high like it did, S&P 500, I think it hit like $600 a share. I usually look at SPY as a reference. It hit that $600 mark. And from history, usually whenever it hits an all-time high, then the next response is usually a downward trend. And then it's going to find that intermediate like chop zone. So that's kind of what I'm foreseeing for the future. But yeah, so just a quick overview of my account, the margin I'm using. I also sold out of amzy during that spike as well. So in the last 2 weeks, I pretty much sold out of 66% of my Yieldmax funds. And it's for a multiple of reasons. One, tsly was hot garbage. NAV erosion was too high. Premium was pretty nice, but end of the day, that kind of NAV erosion is a little too much for my liking. There are smarter moves out there. This project is only 5 months old, actually turning 6 months old at the end of November. And so we're definitely adjusting our strategy as time comes. And one of those strategies is realizing that Yieldmax are momentum plays only. tsly and what is invested in Tesla is whenever it moves, it's parabolic movements. It's very violent, it's very extreme. So it's really hard for Yieldmax to capture that upside premiums are great, right? They've always been around somewhere between 80 cents to $1. So that's fantastic. But then the options, their strategy they're employing isn't catching the upside. So the share price keeps going down, 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 down. So until they can show evidence of not destroying the NAV, I'm not going to invest in funds that have a high NAV deterioration. Right. So Tesla is one of them. I sold out of my amzy position. It hit about $20.32 before I sold out. Because amzy, right now Amazon's hitting an all-time high, and for amzy to only get up to $20.32 or $20.50 roughly right now, for it to go to that low of a number, well, this Amazon stock is at an all-time high, that difference for me wasn't worth it. Right. So I pulled out my money. I ended up being about $3,000 in the plus because I put about $25,000 in. When I sold out of amzy, my cost average had about 24,000, and then I made about 4,000 of premium from amzy. So I came out positive for that specific play. Basically, tsly, amzy pulled out, so now I have that cash to invest. So that's why you see that I have about $48,000 to invest. But then I took some of that money and then bought 1,000 shares of nvdy. Once after the ex-dividend date, the NAV dropped a little bit, bought in on it. And then with that being said, I also sold some calls on nvdy, the $27 calls. So basically I made about $3,000 doing sell calls for nvdy, right? So I think that's going to be a new strategy I'm going to be adopting in the future. I might invest more money into nvdy because I'm kind of on just whenever I'm investing into Yieldmax is just momentum only. And so I think I'm going to put more weight into that momentum only, right? Very risky because I'm putting all of my assets into one specific ETF. However, I do think there's plenty of upside for nvdy for the next year because everyone is just hungry for those NVIDIA chips, those Blackwell chips. They're already sold out for the next year, if you didn't already know that. So it means the revenue is going to keep coming. What's the other note? My note for xdte, I think xdte is a great fund. I'm still going to invest into it with some of my gains from nvdy, but xdte is one of those more safer plays when you have money, like a ton of money, like say, more than, $500,000. It's a very safe investment to put that in there, and then it'll just going to churn and make you money, right? It's safer. The NAV doesn't erode. It's very consistent. There's appreciation. And it's one of those things where if you have the money, you invest into it. But right now I'm kind of in that pursuit for the money phase. So right now I'm risking it a little bit by being very heavily invested in nvdy. I want to pay off this heloc loan. Once this heloc loan is paid off, who knows what kind of strategy I'm going to adopt, but the first thing I have to do is pay off that heloc loan. That is one of my goals for this channel. Currently, I haven't crunched the numbers, but I think it's somewhere between, I have about 11 to 12 more months of doing this strategy before I pay off the loan. And I think that's it for all of the notes I had for you guys. So let's start diving into the numbers. All right, guys, now let's jump into the round hill weekly pairs. So for xdte, the weekly distribution for November 11th through the 15th is going to be about 27 cents. For qdte, it's about 25 cents. And then for rdte, it's about 33 cents. Moving on to Yieldmax. All right, guys. So for the Yieldmax weekly distribution, we had about 15 cents. For the ymag distribution, about 21 cents. Cony, dang, $2. That's kind of cool. Fiat, about 72 cents. msfo, 50 cents. amdy, y, 81 cents. nfly, 78 cents. abny, 86 cents. PayPal, 58 cents. And then ulty, about 53 cents. All right, so the one fund, all these funds are pretty good. I'm going to focus my energy on ulty because that's kind of the one funds I'm actually interested in this group C. All the other ones seem great. I have no real complaints with the weekly pairs of ymax and ymag. I prefer ymag, but ulty, I want to do some investigation after they change their prospectus to see if it's helping or not. And yeah, let's dive into it. All right, so let's dive into ulty here. Right now, the share price isn't accurately reflecting what its current share price is. I just checked Robinhood, it's about $10.05. So this number is actually quite wrong. But let's look at the month return, right? So forget when exactly they changed their prospectus. I think it was October 16th, right? Let's see. Yeah, so they changed the prospectus October 16th, and throughout that period, ulty has gone up, right? I'm not going to say that it hasn't. It definitely, from this drop point of about $10, it dropped back down to about $10.05, right? But in the past month, it has gone up about 65 cents, almost 70 cents in appreciation. So you could almost consider this as NAV neutral, right? And if ulty can stay this course, I would be interested in jumping back into it. Right, I'm even considered jumping into it now at this discounted rate of $10.05. But I want a little bit more data. If ulty can keep this kind of, momentum and this routine for about 2 more months, I would jump back into it. But it's something that I need to see more data. Yeah, no, I do want to do a shout out to Yieldmax fund managers. They definitely are maintaining the NAV. As long as this doesn't go below $10, I think they're going to do a good job. But if it goes below that threshold, don't expect me to invest into this fund ever. But if it kind of maintains that $10 and then always appreciates, I'm highly interested in investing in this fund. So that's kind of my 2 cents. Just want to do a quick little call out for that. But yeah, now let's move on to my Excel spreadsheets. All right, guys, now let's look at my weekly distributions for xdte. So for the week of November 11th through the 15th, my distribution is going to be about $16.20. I basically lied last week that said I was going to make that $53. I ended up making $12.59. I was going to make $53, but then I sold out before I actually made the dividend. So I invested initially like $10,000 and then pulled it out because I saw the spike and I just wanted to lock in my gain. So I made a $300 profit. So if you were to ask me, do you want to get $53 or $300 and lock it in? I'm going to tell you $300 every single time. So that's kind of the thought process. And then if we scroll down to my other graph, this kind of just tracks the dividend over time as it should be increasing. All right, to finish this graph off here, we can see that it's pretty much the same graph as before, but I like to visualize this on a line graph. And then you can also see the distribution between the orange line, which is xdte, the yellow line, which is JEPI, and then the green line, that is JEPQ. And then, as you can see, xdte is a weekly pair, so it tracks it weekly, but then for JEPI and JEPQ, they're monthly pair, so that's why there's the 3 specific pumps. And then when I first started this graph, I just kind of lumped in September and October's payments into one, or August and September's payments into one. But yeah, that wraps up the graph there. All right, guys, before I wrap up this video, I want to do a shout out to my twin brother, Mike. He has the channel, The Not Grew Investor. He basically does the same thing I do, but just he's actually acquired a lot more money than me over his trading career. He has about $240,000 invested that he's acquired over somewhere between 3 and 8 years of trading. And he's definitely very insightful to watch for margin trading, just options trading in general, and then just investment ideas. So definitely check out his channel. He's got 2,200 subscribers. It's definitely worth a view. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching it. We talked about a lot of good stuff here. We talked about the different distributions for Yieldmax and Roundhill. We talked about my account, some of the changes I made with regard to selling tsly, selling xdte, and selling amzy. And then it's kind of my thought process of what I'm going to do in the future. I'm definitely going to go heavily into, just to recap, I'm going to heavily go into one specific fund, and that's going to be nvdy, because I believe that it has potential of upsides, plus the amount of premium it's getting is, and the appreciation is like a double win for me. And the second it stops having that double win of appreciation and premium, I'm definitely going to pull out of it. But right now, I'm sticking with that hot hand. I'm going to keep investing more into nvdy, so I can wrap in more premium. And so I'm probably going to pick up some more shares if I see something at discount. So I'll probably throw in about another $13,000 into nvdy. So that'll be another like 500 shares at its current price. That's definitely kind of what I'm thinking of. Hopefully my analysis on ulty wasn't too harsh, but I definitely think ulty is improving. It didn't lose its nav. The Yahoo didn't accurately explain it, but it's at about $10.05. Stingly didn't lose nav, but if Yieldmax ever gets that below $10 a share, I will not invest in it. But as it stands right now, it hit that nice 80-cent plus premium, and it didn't go below $10. And throughout this last month, it recovered it. So it's definitely the signs of something I want to invest in. I'm not going to jump into it just yet. I still want to wait a few more months before I make that decision. But yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys for sticking around and watching the video. Enjoy your journey. Have fun out there, and peace. Love all of you. Bye.